Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're going to be talking about spellcasting. We're going to be continuing our series on the spells for each individual class, and today we're talking about the Sorcerer. One of the Sorcerer's most famous weaknesses is the fact that they only have so many spells known, and they have to choose them as they level up. Picking your spells as a sorcerer is one of the most important parts of being a sorcerer. Choose wisely, or you'll end up regretting it and having to try to let your DM let you retrain those spells. Now, as far as spells go, third level spells are quite possibly the most pivotal moment in all of D&D, because it's when you come out of first tier play and enter second tier, fifth character level. This is the time when spells have the biggest spike in power, and you see this very clearly with the full casters. Sorcerers get access to some of the most powerful magics in all of D&D, and third level is a very key moment, so choose wisely. I've prepared a top 5 list of sorcerer spells for third level that I believe are ones that any sorcerer should consider, and truly any spellcaster should consider, but these are my picks for the sorcerer. Starting with number 5, we have the spell Haste. Haste is a concentration spell. You cast it on yourself or an ally, any willing creature, and they get a bunch of powerful buffs. First, their movement speed is doubled, which is already crazy. They get a +2 to their armor class, also powerful. Advantage on dexterity saving throws, and, most importantly, an extra action on their turn. Now, this action has to be spent to do a physical thing like attack, or dash, or dodge, or whatever. But these actions are pivotal in combat, and casting Haste on the party's melee or ranged damage dealer, the martial classes, is absolutely invaluable. They'll love the extra armor class, they'll love the extra attack, especially if they have extra attack. This just doubles down on their power level. The only downside is that when the spell ends, either through the loss of concentration or just because time runs out, they have a wave of lethargy and they lose their next turn effectively. They can't do anything on their next turn. But the power you gain from Haste is second to none at this level, and is one of the best things you can do as a sorcerer to power up your party. Now, the fourth one on this list is arguably the most powerful thing you can do overall in the game at this level. Number 4 is Fly. Fly is a spell you cast, you concentrate on it for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, a creature gets a 60-foot flying speed. Flying speeds are great simply because they get you out of reach of all melee attacks. Any creature that has a ranged attack as their primary thing, whether it's a bow or ranged spells, a flying speed will keep them largely safe from the battlefield. It's a lot more common for creatures to have melee attacks than ranged attacks when you're fighting them. And the 60-foot speed means that you are much faster than normal, even if you do decide to stay on the ground in melee. And you can dive in, attack, go back up, maybe take an opportunity attack on the way out, but even then, you're out of range of melee attacks. And if you upcast the spell, or, since you're a sorcerer, you could twin the spell, you get to cast on more than one creature. So in theory, later on, you can get the whole party flying for 10 minutes. This is phenomenal for the safety and the power of the party, not to mention the ability to solve puzzles. Traps on the floor, holes or gaps you gotta cross, maybe walls you need to climb. Nope, not with Fly. You just fly over everything. I've heard of entire dungeons getting surpassed because instead of going in the front gate or in the side door and working your way through the castle, up to the top of the tower, they just cast fly and went to the top of the tower in through a window. Why not? As long as you can keep concentration on it, there's no downside to fly. Of course, if you lose concentration, then you plummet out of the sky and take falling damage, so, watch out for that. But in general, fly is a top tier pick. Now, number 3 is one of the best battlefield control spells out there, Hypnotic Pattern. Hypnotic Pattern creates an area of effect, and all creatures in it must make a wisdom save. If they fail, they become charmed, and the charm incapacitates them, effectively hypnotizing them, for the minute that the spell lasts. Any creature who succeeds their save, nothing happens to them. But the creatures that get hypnotized cannot repeat the save. They are now stuck in that position for the next minute, or until they take damage, or until another creature uses their action to shake them out of their stupor. This is one of the best controlling abilities, to just take enemies out of the fight for a minute. And then the rest of the enemies have to choose, the ones that manage to make their save. Oh gosh, do we spend our entire action, maybe more than one turn, waking our allies up, all the time taking hits from the party? Or do we just leave them be and try to fight with less numbers? This is one of the best ways to make your DM have to make that choice of taking the risk of fighting with less enemies, or wasting their entire turn getting the troops back up and going. It is, without a doubt, one of the greats. Now, the last 2 on this list are some of the most popular spells in D&D. They are memes into themselves. And you probably know which ones they are. But which one's going to be 2 and which one's going to be 1? Number 2 is Fireball. Fireball, the ultimate damage dealing spell. The one that everyone says you should never leave home without. You cast it and it creates a 20-foot radius fire explosion. All creatures must make a dexterity saving throw or take 8d6 fire damage, or half, on a successful save. It's simple, it's powerful, it's massive. That spell covers a lot of area, and it is the ultimate minion killer. It is the battlefield clearing spell, and well worthy of a spot up here. It trounces other damage-dealing spells of the same tier, and honestly competes with spells levels above it as far as damage goes. Its massive area makes it practical in most situations, and the only time you'd want to watch out is when you might fireball one of your own people, since it does have friendly fire. So what tops Fireball? The only spell that always beats Fireball. Counterspell. A well-placed counterspell can save the party more times than we can count. Because Counterspell is a reaction spell. You cast it when it isn't your turn. You use your reaction when another creature is casting a spell, and you simply stop it. The spell doesn't work. If the spell is of 3rd level or lower, it's automatic, meaning Counterspell always beats Fireball, no matter what. Even if you upcast Fireball, you can also upcast Counterspell. And that's the trick with Counterspell, is you have to know when to upcast it. Upcasting Counterspell means you use a higher level slot to cast it, and it cancels automatically a spell of the level you cast it to, or lower. When you choose not to do this, and simply cast Counterspell at its 3rd level against a higher level spell, you then have to make a check using your spellcasting ability to see whether or not your Counterspell works. Now, Counterspell can be counterspelled. Sometimes you get those little back and forths where everyone's trying to counterspell each other's counterspell to see whether or not the original spell makes it through. Sorcerers, though, have subtle spell, meaning that if they want to spend a sorcery point and make sure their counterspell is invisible, because if you don't see the somatic components or hear the verbal components of a spell being cast, you can't counterspell what you don't see. So, counterspelling is even more potent from a sorcerer, and definitely deserves the #1 spot on a sorcerer's list. If you're going to pick any spell of 3rd level, take Counterspell, because anytime you have to face spellcasters or any magic users, this spell will save you over and over again. And yes, it will save you from Fireball. You should probably still take Fireball, though. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below, and keep your eyes peeled for more spellcasting reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.